You know that stage of love where the world goes soft, where his name alone makes you smile, where you think, finally, God heard me? That stage is a blindfold. And while you're floating, everyone around you is drowning. 5 weeks. That's all it took. 5 weeks of phone calls that lasted until 2 a.m. 5 weeks of good morning, beautiful texts that made me kick my feet in bed like a child. 5 weeks of Obina showing up in ways no man had ever shown up for me before. He remembered everything. The name of my favorite auntie. The fact that I can't eat pepper but I'll pretend I can. The song I told him I cried to after my breakup. He made a whole playlist around it. This man was not playing, and neither was my heart. So when he asked me to meet him at this beautiful waterfront cafe, candles on the table, iced drinks glistening in the sun, I knew something was different. He was nervous, Obina, nervous. The man who always had his composure was fidgeting with his napkin like a schoolboy. He reached across the table, wiped a crumb from the corner of my mouth with his thumb, and I thought my soul left my body. I said, "You didn't have to do that." He said, "Where's the romance in napkins, Kioma?" This man, and then his face changed. The playfulness left. Something deeper replaced it. He leaned back, looked me in the eyes, and said, "These past few weeks, I haven't felt this kind of peace in a very long time. Not happiness, peace. Like the noise in my head finally went quiet. And I felt it too. That peace, the kind that makes you forget that the world ever hurts you." He reached for my hand across the table and said, "Kioma, be my girl, please." My chest caved. My eyes filled immediately. I couldn't even pretend to be cool about it. He started saying, "You don't have to answer now." And I said, "Yes," before he could finish the sentence. "Yes, Obina. Yes." He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since the night of the party and said, "Oh, thank God." Because I practiced that speech in front of my bathroom mirror 4 times and I had no backup plan for a no. I laughed so hard I almost knocked over my drink. He held my hand across that table and the world was golden. I was somebody's girl again. But this time, it felt right. At least, that's what I told myself. Naturally, the first person I called was Zara. I was bouncing on my bed like a 5-year-old. Phone pressed to my ear, screaming, "Zara, Zara, ah." He asked me out. Officially, Obina asked me to be his girlfriend. And Zara? Oh, Zara gave a performance. She screamed. She gasped. She said, "Oh my God, Chioma." She said, "You deserve this." She said, "After everything that happened, God finally came through." It was perfect. Every word, every gasp was in the right place. Every scream hit the right note. She told me Obino was a good man. She said she could tell. She asked when I was bringing him to eat her jollof rice. Said that was the real relationship test. Forget compatibility. Can he handle my pepper? We laughed together. It felt like old times. But here's what I didn't know. What I couldn't know. When that call ended, Zara dropped her phone like it burned her. She stared at the ceiling and she whispered, "I introduced them. I brought her to the party. I did this to myself." She turned over, buried her face in the pillow, and her shoulders shook silently. The way they do when you've cried so many times your body doesn't even make sound anymore. She was performing friendship while bleeding out, and I was too blind, too happy to see it. A few days later, Obina picked me up for a drive. No destination, just US. Windows down. Golden hour light pouring through the windshield. Music playing softly on the speakers. His hand on the gear, my hand on his arm. Comfortable silence. The kind that only exists between people who don't need words to feel close. And then I asked him something small, or so I thought. At Zara's party, why were you sitting alone? Everyone was dancing, vibing. You were just watching. He said, I'm not really a party person. Emeka dragged me there. I laughed and said, that's funny. Zara dragged me there too. He said, then we owe both of them. And then I pushed a little more. How long have you and Emeka been close? Since first year in university. A long time. And you've never had any problems? You and him? His hands tightened on the steering wheel, just lightly. But I saw it. He said, every friendship has its moments, but we always come back. What kind of moments? He glanced at me, then back at the road, and his voice got lighter. The way people's voices get lighter when they're trying to make something heavy, it disappear. You know men now. Ego, stubbornness, the usual nonsense. I let it go. He reached over my hand, squeezed it, said, what matters is now. You and me, yeah? I said, yeah. I smiled, but something registered. I didn't know what. I couldn't name it, but it was there. A tiny crack in the glass that I chose to ignore, because the view was still too beautiful. That night, we sat in my living room. Bible open between us on the couch. He held both my hands, heads bowed, and he prayed. Not the kind of prayer you perform for someone. The kind that comes from your chest. The kind that shakes when it leaves your mouth. He said, Lord, thank you for this woman. Thank you for bringing her into my life when I had stopped hoping. I ask that you guide us, protect what we're building, and give us the courage to always be honest with each other. His voice caught on the word honest, almost imperceptibly, like a stone skipping on water that suddenly sinks. But I didn't notice. I was too busy falling. When we opened our eyes, I looked at him with everything I had. And I said, no one has ever prayed with me like that. He said, then the ones before me weren't paying attention. I leaned into him. He wrapped his arm around me, and I said, the thing I promised myself I would never say again. Obina, don't break my heart. I don't have another one to give. He pulled me closer, kissed my forehead, and said, I won't. But over my head, where I couldn't see, his eyes told a different story. Guilt, fear, the look of a man carrying a bomb and praying it doesn't go off. The next day, I walked out of my gate and stopped. Emeka was there, leaning on his car, grinning, holding a shopping bag. Emeka, what are you doing here? Obi said your blender broke. I was on 3rd Mainland, saw one on sale, thought I'd swing by and drop it off. He bought me a blender. This man, who I had met once at a party, went out of his way on a random Tuesday to buy me a blender. I said, Emeka, this is really thoughtful. He shrugged like it was nothing and said, you're Obi's girl. That makes you family. Family doesn't use broken blenders. Family. He said it so simply, so naturally, like it cost him nothing to say. But the way he said it, there was a weight in that word that he hoped I wouldn't hear. I asked him to come inside for water at least. He was already walking to his car. Nah, I'm good. Got to run. Just take care of yourself, yeah? He waved without turning back, got in the car. Engine started, and through the windshield, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. His grin was gone. His hands gripped the steering wheel, and he exhaled like a man fighting a war inside himself. He whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but his lips moved. And if I had to guess, I think he said, Family. She's family. Like a man trying to convince himself of something his heart had already rejected. I stood at my gate holding that bag, and I thought, that was really nice. Just nice. That's all I let it be. Because I was in love with Obina. And Emeka was just his friend. Top, right? But while I was floating in my happiness, building my little castle in the sky, someone else was sinking. Zara, alone, in her apartment, wine glass in hand, not her first. The bottle half empty beside her on the table. She was staring at her phone, at my Instagram story, a photo of me and Obina. Foreheads touching, fairy lights behind us. Caption, God did? But she stared at that photo the way you stare at a car crash. You don't want to look, but you can't look away. Her thumb hovered over the like button. She put the phone face down on the table, picked up the wine, took a long, slow sip. Her hand trembled around the glass. Then she picked the phone back up, stared at the photo again, and the memories hit her. Obina's hand on Zara's face. Obina laughing with Zara. Obina saying, I love you, to Zara. Those weren't my memories, they were hers. From a love she never got over. From a man who left without looking back. From a wound she thought had healed, until she watched me pour salt into it every single day, without knowing. She blinked. The memories shattered like glass. She double-tapped the photo. Liked it. Then she typed a comment. My baby, ooh-yay. God, when is it my turn? With a laughing emoji, she posted it, put the phone down, finished the wine in one go. And then, sitting alone in that apartment, surrounded by empty wine and old memories, she said the 4 words that would haunt me when I finally learned the truth. It should have been me. A single tear. She didn't wipe it. She just let it fall. So, the one who cheered the loudest was the one breaking the most.